is a special presentation of HBO Sports.
Through a century of modern boxing, only a handful of stars have had the ability to transcend their sport.
I am the king of the world. Hold it. I'm pretty. Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
The crowd chanting Sugar Ray. We will let you watch the last minute of a great evening in Las Vegas.
Now a juggernaut, a champion from the 70s and a God-fearing ambassador, has again captured the attention of fans and non-fans alike.
I'm one of the oldest fighters around, and I can still move mountains.
George Foreman's resurrection has been a fairy tale. When he began his comeback, few took him seriously. All that changed on April 19, 1991, when Foreman showed the boxing world he was for real. Right hand on the surface of Holyfield's head, and he's momentarily stunned. And now the crowd comes alive again as Holyfield stopped punching and Foreman steps in. Could it be George's last hurrah? Foreman would go on to prove that night the second coming was no mirage. So on this evening, his journey continues, one which he hopes will lead him toward another shot at the heavyweight title. George Foreman is back.
Very wobbly in the center of the ring. Takes another right hand. Leonard now tries to fight off the ropes. Combinations of
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! Tonight, World Championship Boxing comes to you live from Reno, Nevada, as HBO Sports presents a boxing doubleheader. First, Rafael Pineda takes on Roger Mayweather for the vacated IBF Junior Welterweight World Championship. And then, in our main event, the ageless George Foreman takes center stage again, this time against Jimmy Ellis in a bout scheduled for 10 rounds. As day surrenders tonight in the biggest little city in the world, the Reno Sparks Convention Center prepares, via the voice of a big crowd, to roll out its red carpet for boxing's vintage heavyweight, George Foreman. And hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. Welcome back to HBO's World Championship Boxing as we cover, for a continued version, the second career of World Heavyweight Champion contender George Foreman. Last time you saw him, it was in the valiant effort against Evander Holyfield 7 months ago. Tonight he prepares to go back into the ring against a former strike replacement pro football player who's had a total of 17 fights. On paper, it looks like a big mismatch. So here to help us try to explain it is our boxing analyst, Larry Merchant. And Larry, what's in this for George?
Well, I think in a sense, Jim, that this is a second comeback for George Foreman. A comeback from that terrific but very honorable and heroic licking he took from Evander Holyfield. Some fighters, many fighters, never fully recover from that kind of fight, from the punishment and the disappointment. But George Foreman, as we've learned, is not like any other fighter. Is he in jeopardy here? It doesn't seem likely. Not from a fighter who, as Muhammad Ali used to say, only has the right connections and complexion to get this fight.
And of course, Larry, with George in the ring, the man who would normally be our third voice at ringside, we have the privilege again tonight of borrowing the face and voice of another of the most respected men in the sport, Gil Clancy. Now, Gil, a lot of people would say that with the performance against Holyfield, George put to rest all the questions about his legitimacy as a contender. But with a fight like this, some of those questions might be rekindled. What do you think of George Foreman's legitimacy as a heavyweight contender?
Well, you know, Jim, I used to train George Foreman. He was a mean, intense guy, both in the ring and out of the ring. Had tremendous talent, didn't know how to relax. Therefore, he had a stamina problem. This is the new jovial George. He's at peace with the world. He's very happy. He's relaxed in the ring. He says he's a better fighter now. Maybe he is.
All right, and before we see Foreman in that heavyweight fight, we're going to see a championship fight in maybe the most richly talented division in boxing, the 140-pound weight class tonight, the championship of the vacated IBF title, Roger Mayweather against Rafael Pineda. Two pretty good fighters.
Yes, my spies in the gym in Miami tell me that Pineda has been looking absolutely sensational. He's a kid. He's a winger. He throws the kind of punches that bother Roger Mayweather, those round punches. But, you know, Mayweather is a very, very experienced fighter. He's been in a lot of big fights. If the fight goes a distance, I give Mayweather an edge.
Gil, it was 3 years ago when Larry Merchant and I at ringside in Atlantic City in an undercard bout one night when we were calling a couple title fights, first laid eyes on the Colombian kid Rafael Pineda. And for you, it was as though you had just seen Greta Garbo for the first time.
Or the Hope Diamond. I thought I was looking at the possible successor to Julio Cesar Chavez as a next great lightweight. But then for some reason or other, he got himself into a welterweight championship fight, and that turned out to be a disaster. And here he is a couple of years later. In fact, Chavez pulled out of the IBF championship, gave it up, because Pineda was a mandatory challenger. But Chavez is a great, great fighter. I'm not sure exactly why he did pull out, but I am anxious to see this Pineda.
And Chavez is the biggest name at 140 pounds, but you have Pernell Whitaker coming up from 135 to 140, and Edwin Rosario holds the title in this division. There's a lot of talent at 140 pounds. You're about to see two of the best. And here is Rafael Pineda, 25 years old, from Colombia, now ranked as the #1 junior welterweight contender by this governing body. And as Larry mentioned, 2.5 years ago, he almost inexplicably suddenly put on 12 pounds to go from 135 up to 147 pounds, got himself into a title mismatch against Mark Breland. Some say he quit in the 5th round, although he had landed some heavy blows. Now he comes back for another shot at a title in a weight class in which he ought to be a great deal more comfortable. He's a phenomenal natural talent.
He took that fight for the money, wound up buying a house and a car, cracked up the car, bought another car, cracked up that car, bought another car, and cracked up that car. So I have to assume if the house was on wheels, he would have cracked it up, Gil.
No, you don't know, Larry. His manager also had a car. He kept aiming at the kid's car because he wanted him to keep fighting.
And the record for Rafael Pineda, 26 wins. The one loss was in that strange bout against Breland, and the overwhelming majority of those fights have taken place down in his native Colombia. He's from Barranquilla. 16th of 16 children, the baby of his family. He's got an older brother who is 30 years older than he is.
He was quoted as saying somewhere along the way that he has brothers he doesn't even know.
Well, here comes one that he has indeed met. He's about to meet him again at much closer range. Roger Mayweather, and you can see that Mayweather has held 2 previous world championships in his career, and now will try for a 3rd. This is a real professional fight.
He's a 7-5 favorite or thereabouts, based on his record of having fought practically all of the top people in the lightweight divisions over the last 4 or 5 years. He lost to Chavez twice. He lost to Whitaker on a 12-round decision after knocking Whitaker down. This guy can fight, and if Pineda is the real thing, this will be the ultimate test for him.
But you know, neither one of these guys has been very active. That could be a key to the fight, especially early. Between the two of them in the last 2 years, each one had only 1 fight. So early in the fight, it's going to see who's more comfortable in the ring. Could very well be.
Both have been waiting for a big assignment, a chance at a championship, and because Julio Cesar Chavez vacated this crown, here they are. Mayweather, 40 wins, 6 losses, 25 KOs, and as Larry Merchant pointed out, he loses to the big names, 2 losses to Chavez, 1 loss to Pernell Whitaker. Tail of the tape for Roger Mayweather and Rafael Pineda, and you will see that there is very little difference in the measurements, although their bodies do look different. Pineda is the stockier of the two. Mayweather is slinky and slim. And now let's go to Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer, for the rules of tonight's championship bout.
Jim, Rafael Pineda and Roger Mayweather will fight tonight using the rules of the International Boxing Federation. 3 judges scoring the fight on the 10-point must system. No standing gate count, no 3 knockdown rule, and you can be saved by the bell in the last round only. And Jim, in the IBF, the butt rule is a little bit different. If either fighter is cut by an accidental headbutt, the fight is a technical draw if it is stopped in the first 6 rounds. After the 6th round is ended, we go to the scorecards to determine the winner on an accidental headbutt.
And let's go up to Michael Buffer now for the pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Reno Sparks Convention Center here in Reno, Nevada, Top Rank Incorporated, in association with Cedric Kushner Promotions and the undisputed, undefeated King of Beer, Budweiser, present World Championship Boxing for your entertainment. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the International Boxing Federation. IBF President Robert W. Lee, supervisor at ringside for the IBF, Bob Weitzel. The scoring will be done on a 10-point must system, and the 3 judges assigned to ringside are Keith McDonald, Phil Newman, and Glenn Hamada. And once the bell rings, the man in charge of all the action working in a world title bout for the 57th time, referee Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, man your battle stations. 12 rounds of boxing between the numbers 1 and 2 contenders for the IBF, the vacant junior welterweight championship of the world. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with blue letters, he weighs an even 139 pounds. 26 victories with 24 KOs, only 1 defeat. He's ranked number 1 in the world by the International Boxing Federation. Ladies and gentlemen, from Barranquilla, Colombia, Rafael Pineda. And across the ring in the red corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim, weighing an even 140 pounds, 40 victories to his credit with 25 KOs against 6 defeats. He's ranked number 2 in the world by the IBF. Ladies and gentlemen, the former 2-time world champion, the Black Mamba, Roger Mayweather.
Okay, now look, if he goes right there, I'm not going to call it low. I want you to understand, right there is going to be all right. Right there, I'm not going to call it low, all right? For the championship of the world. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions here? Any questions here? Let's get it on.
I don't know if Rafael Pineda understands let's get it on, but that's what he does.
And that's what he had better start doing from the opening bell, throwing those looping punches.
Well, this will be a fascinating matchup of styles because Mayweather, as you can see, begins in a highly conventional stance, relies on a straight jab right there, and comes back with the right hand. When Mayweather scores a knockout, and he's had 25 of them, they all come off the right hand, but it was injured several months ago, and he may be worried about tendon pain in that hand.
Well, he fought a couple of fights, Jim, with the hand in not too good a shape, so I don't think he worries too much about the pain. He says it's perfect now. He has fought with it before and felt the pain and continued to fight.
So far, Pineda is just trying to get a look-see as Mayweather has stuck the jabs and circled to his right. An ultra-cautious first round.
Both fighters said they were going to adapt, that they had no plans, and I guess that's what we're doing in here, Gil.
And well, we know that Roger Mayweather is the more experienced of the 2 guys, and he's very, very good at figuring out an opponent. Sometimes it takes him 2 or 3 rounds before he gets the key. If I was Pineda, I would jump right on him.
Well, so far, Rafael has been loath to do that. He did jump in and try to throw one right hand, but it missed.
But one thing that Roger Mayweather is doing, there's a good right hand by Mayweather. One thing he's doing, he's moving a lot to his right, and that's an unnatural move for a fighter. That may be troubling Pineda early in the fight. Now he's going to the left, but you notice he moves to the right a lot. There he is again, over to the right.
And as he moved to the right, Pineda tried to leap in with a sweeping left. But Mayweather was able to partially block it as he escaped along the ropes. And now Mayweather begins to circle backwards to his left. So a little bit of a change up in mid-round now for Mayweather as he begins going in the opposite direction. And this makes a better look for Pineda, and he starts to get a little more busy. Now Mayweather goes back to his right. Pineda missing badly with the right hand. Mayweather sticking the jab. There have been very few landed punches in this round, but those which have been landed have belonged to Roger Mayweather.
Both fighters showed respect for each other in that round, but Mayweather's straight left hand won it.
And as we go to Pineda's corner to listen to trainer Amilcar Bruza, our interpretation comes from former world champion Carlos Palomino.
Move your hands a little more. Use your left hand.
Tenga esto acá, tenga esto acá.
Take this.
Please, please, acá, 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 acá. Hey, sí, sí, sí. Bueno, escúcheme, muy bien el trabajo.
Very well, good job.
Lo que está haciendo, mueva más la cintura, no vaya para
Move your, break yourself more. More movement.
Oh.
This guy. Hit it. It's your. That's it, Raj. Come on. Come on, baby. 2 seconds, let's go.
In round one, Roger Mayweather landed 14 left jabs and 1 right hand over the top. Pineda landed only 7 punches, 6 of them were jabs. Roger Mayweather likes to take care of his own business, not only in the ring, but in his corner between rounds. There wasn't much talking there between rounds as you were listening to Pineda's corner. And now Pineda a little more aggressive in the opening 30 seconds of round 2.
You know, Jim, the fact that the first round was so overly cautious could have been because both of these guys have been so inactive. This is something new for them to be back in the ring again after such a long period of inactivity.
Well, what's the difference between fighting and sparring, Gil?
Oh, there's a tremendous difference. Jim, as you remember in the Holyfield fight, he had been off for 217 days, and Bert Cooper had 4 fights under his belt since that time. I always like the active fighters. Complete difference. In the gym, if you hit a guy hard with a punch, you step back, you let him recover. He has head guards on, you have big gloves. But in this ring, you just can't make these mistakes. There goes Mayweather trying that right hand.
He flashes the right hand over the top. It's won him a lot of victories over the years.
And Pineda is not using a left jab at all. If he does, it's just like a half a push. No snap in the punch, as Mayweather is showing right now. That's the way you should throw a left jab. Score points with it.
Lunging left to the body by Pineda as he comes inside. Mayweather circles away, and now Pineda lunges again with the left, and this time it's blocked.
Now Pineda is starting to use a jab. Doubled up his jab for the first time in the fight. There it is again, double jab.
But no snap. He seems uncertain with it. Mayweather misses with another right hand, but Roger Mayweather is the much more assertive fighter still as we're midway through round 2 and into the 3rd minute of the round.
And Jim, as you mentioned, Roger missed with a right hand, but Pineda did not make him pay. He was able to take a free shot at Pineda. When a guy misses with a right hand, you have to counter immediately. There he threw it again. This time it landed. Glancing blow.
Pineda is loose with his right hand over the top. Didn't get it to the target. And there's a left hook by Roger Mayweather. Now he comes back with the straight jab. And Pineda again misses with the right hand. We told you about the great natural talent of Rafael Pineda. So far he looks uncertain and a little bit out of sync. Still to come here on HBO this evening, you are going to see George Foreman in a scheduled 10-round bout against former strike replacement pro football player Jimmy Ellis, who will be appearing in a prize fight for the 18th time tonight. Has a record of 16-0-1 coming in. Foreman, of course, is 69-3.
más golpes. Además la cintura sirve para defensa.
Move your upper body more.
Acá, hielo. Acá.
Ice. Want some ice?
A ver, nene. Yo lo voy a levantar cuando eche el tiempo. Vos no te levantes.
Don't get up until they call time.
Bien, el trabajo que está haciendo está bien.
Put that jab. Let's go. All right, let's go. Jump that jab. Let's go.
Well, you saw the punch stat numbers indicating how effectively Roger Mayweather has used the jab in the first 2 rounds, and in his corner he was being asked to use it more in round number 3. Mayweather again circling to the right, and now Pineda shows an intention at least to get more aggressive.
And Jim, that movement of Mayweather's to the right, which he's been doing most of the time, is really bothering Pineda. He just can't seem to get set to throw a punch. There he goes again. Every time he gets set to punch, Mayweather just slides over to the right.
So what can Rafael do to change this? Well, number one, he's got to cut off the ring, right?
Absolutely right. It's mind over matter. What he has to do is take that left foot and step over and try to cut Roger off. But what he's doing, he's going straight ahead. Low blow by Pineda.
And that could be a sign of frustration. So he's been following Mayweather around the ring.
Well, no, what Mayweather is doing is moving to his right off Pineda's move. Once Pineda starts to move, Mayweather just slides over to the right. So therefore, Pineda has to take a step first to his left and then make the attack.
You saw Pineda leap with the left hand and miss along the ropes, as again Mayweather danced away to his right. And now, just as Pineda begins to try to set himself to deal with that left-to-right movement, Roger turns and goes in the opposite direction. Right hand misses by Mayweather.
But again, he didn't have to pay, Jim. Threw a right-hand lead. There was no counter off his punch.
And for the first time in the bout now, Pineda lands one of those overhead rights.
Well, you can see the power that Pineda has if he can get Roger to exchange and get Mayweather in front of him. But that's been a very difficult job with this cagey veteran.
Pineda regarded as having very heavy hands for this weight class. Good jab by Mayweather.
You can almost see Mayweather thinking out there, Jim. He's really concentrating.
Mayweather says that his favorite pastime away from his own boxing workouts is to work with other boxers. And he may turn out to be a trainer, Gil.
Well, he looks like he would be a good trainer. He's a very, very cagey veteran, good, knowledgeable boxing guy. There's that movement to the right again. He just leaves Pineda in his dust.
And you can hear the boos as the crowd, which came looking for a Foreman knockout, begins to express its displeasure with the tactical scene that's evolving here in front of us. Harold Letterman. Excuse me, Larry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Harold. Give us your score.
Okay, Larry, I've got it 30-27, 3 rounds to nothing in favor of Roger Mayweather. You know, when we talk about scoring, we often talk about that intangible ring generalship. And what Roger Mayweather is showing us, he's showing us beautiful ring generalship. I mean, if he keeps sliding to the right, which is, like Gil said, an unnatural move, Rafael Pineda just can't hit what's not there. Pineda is lunging, he's missing him, he can't get off, and Mayweather is winning this fight largely on ring generalship.
Now give me a deep breath.
Larry?
It's your time, champ.
But
it's your time. You hear me? You worked hard for this fight, right? You know who you are. You're Roger Mayweather. We want a third world title out there. I want you to keep your game plan, all right? Now give me another deep breath. You're the man out there, all right?
Let's go. Así que saquen más mano, por favor.
Unfortunately, the fans didn't come to the arena here to see ring generalship. They came to see a fight. And right now, they're really not getting one.
Well, but if I was in Roger Mayweather's corner, I'd be telling him, don't pay any attention to the boos whatsoever. Just put each round in the back. There's that movement to the right again, and Pineda just can't seem to figure it out.
Gil, I'm told that between rounds, Pineda's trainer, Amilcar Bruza, asked him to begin working more to Mayweather's body. Is he going to have any more success in finding him if he tries to stay low to the body?
Well, it's the movement that bothers him, and it's not the head movement. You tell a guy to punch to the body, you know that the head moves, but the body doesn't move. But he just can't seem to catch up with the foot movement of Roger Mayweather. But he had better try something different.
Well, so far in the first minute of round 4, Pineda has again attempted to signal more aggression. And Mayweather has continued with the foot movement that has earned him the first 3 rounds on Harold Letterman's scorecard, at least.
And Jim, Amilcar Bruza, Pineda's trainer, he was the trainer of the great Carlos Monzon, you know, so he knows his way around the block. In every fight, there's a moment of truth. There's going to be some time in this fight where these guys are going to get into an exchange or Pineda's going to land a big punch.
Do you think the booze will affect Mayweather's game plan?
No, not at all. He's concentrating, not paying any attention to the fans whatsoever. He's been around a long time, a real cagey veteran.
Pineda landed one of his better jabs so far to Mayweather's mouth. Mayweather fires the right off the ropes and dips to the right again.
Right, step back, come on, right, let him go. Step back, here we go, come on.
Gil, would it do Pineda any good to just mount a couple of bull-like rushes and try to push Mayweather off of this rhythm?
Well, if I were in Pineda's corner telling Pineda what to do, I'd tell him to try to throw wide right hands to the body. It may open him up to get nailed with a counter punch, but he can bring Mayweather in front of him.
Mayweather lands a right and a left. 2 of the better punches of the bout now as Pineda pursues. So as round 4 comes to a close, the pattern continues. Mayweather's foot movement and effective counter-punching dominating the action. And now we take this chance between rounds 4 and 5 as the crowd boos out here to welcome for the first time this evening our HBO boxing colleague and World Heavyweight Championship contender George Foreman. George, how you feeling?
I think it's awful sweaty back here, and it doesn't smell that well, but I think it's going to smell worse once I get out in the ring. Other than that, things are great. This is George Foreman coming to you live from the dressing room. Having a lot of fun so
George,
far.
you know, I'm only your designated hitter tonight. Maybe you'd rather be out here, would you?
I don't know. They tell me you've been doing so well, I may have to be your designated hitter for a while.
No, George.
I like it. I like it. I really like it.
Are you going to be dancing around tonight like Mayweather is?
I'm going to try. I'm going to see. Let me see if I can touch my toes yet.
Yeah, no, but during the fight or afterward you're going to try?
Anyway, I'm looking forward to a tough fight. I'm not going to be playing around out there. This guy is hungry. He's coming to take my name, my fame, everything I've ever stood for. He's going to wipe it out. He's going to become famous tonight, he thinks.
See you later. All right, George Foreman, who will be the big attraction later on in the evening, and we start with round 5 of the IBF World Championship 140-pound fight between Roger Mayweather and Rafael Pineda. Only 20 power punches have been landed by the 2 fighters combined in the first 4 rounds. Most of them right crosses by Mayweather, who has dominated the bout with his foot movement and has angered the crowd here, which wanted to see more action.
It looks like a traffic cop and a pedestrian here. I don't get it. It's like almost like they're not into the same scene. There's something that's almost out of sync between them, and that's what makes for this kind of tactical fight.
I guess another way to say that, Larry, would say their styles don't mesh.
Pineda's going to have to take some chances and be willing to eat some leather in order to get some punches in the way Chavez did.
That's absolutely right, Larry. He's going to have to open himself up, may get nailed himself, but he's going to have to take a chance. You just can't keep letting Mayweather put these rounds in the bank.
Larry Merchant's reference was to the bout a couple of years ago in Los Angeles in which Julio Cesar Chavez came to Mayweather's body, took a lot of punishment in the first 5 or 6 rounds, and ultimately battered Mayweather to such an extent that Roger stayed on his stool after round number 10. there has been a little bit more action, but precious little more in the first half of round 5. But Pineda is stepping forward more, trying to shorten the distance and get inside of Mayweather's jab where he can find it.
And you know, in Pineda's mind, he may think that he's winning a lot of these rounds because, especially in Latin America, if you're backing up, they don't give you a round. The judges don't give you a round. And he is moving forward, and he's making Mayweather move side to side and backwards. So he may think that in his mind, he's winning these rounds. There's just that little slide over to the right.
Well, will the men in Pineda's corner be able to explain to him, Gil, that in the United States you got to land punches to win fights?
Well, strangely enough, they may be thinking the same way he's thinking. You have to remember, most of his fights have been down in Colombia, and they may think he's doing better than we feel he's doing officially.
Another counter right hand landed by Mayweather as Pineda tried to come in. It has been a technician's clinic for Roger Mayweather.
I said that Pineda looked like the Hope Diamond 3 years ago. Right now, he looks like a rhinestone.
No lo agarra, no importa. Usted intente, ¿me explico? Abre la boca.
Open your mouth.
Trata de trabajar. Donde sea.
Gotta work.
Escúchame.
Wherever
Si no
you
lo
can.
puede agarrar arriba, tirale al brazo. Tirale acá.
You can't hit him in the head. Hit him anywhere you can. The arms.
Tirale acá, tirale acá, tirale acá, donde sea.
Just keep throwing punches. You gotta throw punches.
Toma un poquito más de agua. ¿Me explico? ¿Le pegó algún golpe fuerte? No, no. Está bien.
Have he hit you with any hard punches? No.
Like, hey, right now, hey, I'm talking about, you see him lunging with shots, right? I want you to stay, yeah. You want to be 3-time world champion. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Seconds out.
Okay. Let's go.
Mayweather pitching a shutout so far. And his corner urging Pineda to get out there and get some hits and runs.
You know, when I would be working in a fight with like a guy like Pineda now, what I would be telling him, say, if you block a punch, punch. If you slip a punch, punch. If you get hit with a punch, punch. He has to make a war out of it. He has to make a fight out of it. He's not going to do it with a slide rule.
Mayweather continues to jab effectively as Pineda tries to chase his way inside. And Pineda comes with the jab and lands 2 of them and a couple of more and misses with a right, but Rafael Pineda is coming alive a little bit in round number 6. Astonishing punch stat number after that last round. You saw that the 2 fighters, according to our computation, had connected on a total of 103 punches in 5 rounds. Now, just for comparison, consider that in a 140-pound fight a couple of years ago between Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez, you had somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 punches landed in the bout between the 2 fighters. That was the height of 140-pound action. This is something else.
Hey, get off that there, come on.
This is showing us once again there is only one Chavez who really knows how to break a fighter down.
That was the best punch of the fight by Rafael Pineda. A snappy left hook. He needs a wake-up call, Pineda. Somebody has to do something to him in the corner.
And another left hand, and suddenly Roger Mayweather is bothered and blinking his eyes a little bit. Solid right hand by Mayweather. Pineda keeps coming forward.
That right hand immediately drew some blood from the mouth of Pineda, Jim.
Yep, coming out the left side of his lips. We saw a trace of blood. Pineda throws an overhand right after Roger feinted him.
This is the only chance Pineda has is to get this into a brawl and land some of those heavy punches.
Well, if he can do a lot more of what he's done in the last 2 minutes, he's going to take some blows to the mouth.
but he might give himself a chance to get back into the fight. Of course, the danger is that Mayweather is pretty accurate with that right hand.
And Mayweather knows enough to throw just enough hard punches to make the guy respect him.
I did give that round to Pineda.
Well, coming up later in the evening, you've got the heavyweight battle between George Foreman and Jimmy Ellis. Not the Jimmy Ellis who was the WBA heavyweight champion back in 1968, but this Jimmy Ellis who played for the Raiders in 1987 after coming out of Boise State and then took up boxing. Are you excited about tonight, Jimmy?
Yeah, I've worked hard and I'm ready for this fight.
What are you chewing, Jimmy?
Bubblegum.
Chewing bubblegum, getting himself all lubricated and ready for the fight. Now, George Foreman was with us earlier and suggested that he might want to dance a little bit tonight. Do you expect a boxing match or a brawl?
I'm ready to go out there and fight my fight. I'm going to hit him and keep hitting him.
And are you going to get hit?
I'm going to slip and move and try not to get hit and hit him.
All right, Jimmy. Big night for you as we get ready to look at you for the very first time in action in your 18th prize fight. We go back to World Championship action, round number 7 for the 140-pound title under the banner of the IBF between Rafael Pineda in the white shorts and Roger Mayweather in the black.
You know, I respect Roger Mayweather. I think he's a terrific pro. But I think for large portions of these rounds, Gil, he's doing more running than boxing.
That's right. It's all right for him to make the other guy miss, but he has to land some punches himself. And he's not throwing too many punches at all right now.
I mean, he's fighting this like Hector Camacho.
Well, not quite that Hector Camacho style. I mean, he has landed some punches, Larry.
You just hurt his feelings badly, Larry, because Mayweather, like most other fighters in this weight class, loves to belittle Camacho in conversation. And there's Pineda landing an overhand right. Remember, he landed 2 solid left hooks in the last round, which were his most effective punches of the bout.
It's possible, isn't it, Gil, for a referee to take a point away from a fighter who does runs too much?
Well, yeah, normally you would stop him one time and want to say, hey, come on, let's fight. And, you know, not so many years ago, Larry, the most effective way was between rounds. You go over and say, unless you fight, you're not getting paid. You'd be surprised the difference that made in some of these guys.
Well, that must have been when you were a promoter, Gil, huh?
Well, I would have to say that I would resort to something like that. Anything to please the fans, Larry.
Mills Lane breaking the fighters apart. Pineda still in a bit of a quandary as to how to find Mayweather and try to engage him.
Right now, though, Mayweather is not offering any offense at all at this particular moment.
If I was in the crowd, I'd be booing also.
And Pineda is making, again, considerably more of an effort than in the first 5 rounds to change the momentum of the thing. Won't be too long before the crowd tries to demonstrate its support for Pineda because they're going to appreciate his continued aggressive efforts to get there anyway. If he keeps doing what he's done for the past round and a half. Low blow. Mills Lane was behind Mayweather, and Pineda got away with it.
You know, Pineda hasn't thrown one solid combination in the entire fight. If he does land a punch, it's a one-punch effort because he's taking his weight off his feet with these lunges.
Harold, how do you score the fight through 7 rounds?
Well, Larry, I've got it 70-63, 7-0 Roger Mayweather. I just haven't been impressed by anything Rafael Pineda has done in this fight. He hasn't thrown any combinations at all. It's only one punch at a time. He's chasing Mayweather all over the ring, and he's just not effective. I mean, he's got to move his hands to win his fight. How in God's name can you score around for a guy that doesn't move his hands, that doesn't throw punches? All he's doing is chasing Mayweather.
Well, I
completely
disagree with you, Harold. I thought that he won the last 2 rounds, Pineda, that Mayweather was a negative force in there. He doesn't deserve to get those rounds for the way he fought those rounds. They're here to fight. This is a prize fight. It's not a track meet. It's not an exhibition of the science of boxing. It's a prize fight, a professional fight for the World Championship. And the last 2 rounds, I think Mayweather has been a disaster.
If you need to look for a number to embarrass Roger Mayweather, here it is. He threw 16 punches in the 7th round. That just isn't fighting. Pineda threw 39 of them, only landed 12, but the disparity in effort alone ought to be enough to give that round to Rafael Pineda. And now Pineda tries to be busier still as round 8 begins.
Pineda did land a couple of jabs, which means that he's getting a little closer to Roger Mayweather.
Now the question comes up after 46 fights and at age 30, is Pineda looking at a shop-worn Roger Mayweather? And if he is shop-worn, then that's going to show up in these last 4 rounds.
Good left hand by Pineda. And you know, Mayweather's body may be a little shop-worn, but the brain is there. Yeah. He's just completely using all of his experience on this kid, and so far it's worked. He's ahead in the fight.
Solid left inside by Mayweather. Pineda again lunging and leaving himself open.
Look how effective that little simple move to the right is, Jim. If you or I were in the ring with Pineda, we'd get hit with that left hook, but Mayweather knows exactly when to move and where to move. And it's not crowd pleasing, but it's effective.
Good point.
And Pineda right now should be going to the body and head. He's chasing, but he's not moving his hands. There's that wide right hand that I told you that I'd like to see him throw earlier in the fight.
And wide rights to the body.
And then left hook back up to the chin.
The same kind of thing Greg Haugen did against Hector Camacho to make Camacho fight.
That means you can get both hands off.
Pineda stepping forward with the jab and landing it. And again, Mayweather misses with the left hook. Sporadically, in bits and pieces, a minute at a time, Rafael Pineda is trying here to make the fight. And Mayweather comes back with a straight right that momentarily stops the Colombian in his tracks. But here comes Pineda again.
Another crowd displeasing round.
Let's go, come on.
You got to pick. We're coming the last 4. You got to pick it up now.
Okay. Take his glove. Take coming loose.
Tape right here, Betty. Eddie, we need tape here.
I got it right here. Here, Billy, hang on that.
You got to pick it up these last 4 rounds. Guy's strong. I understand all that, but that ain't got nothing to do with it.
Get on. Go around a couple times. Get it all the way down. It's all wet.
Don't wait till it's over to pick it up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the last 2 rounds they might have given.
Good left hand you saw by Pineda there. There's the same punch. In the corner, Mayweather has acknowledged to his people that he senses the strength of Pineda, which certainly explains the way he's fighting. I've seen Mayweather before. Have you seen him fight this way?
Yes, well, he's acted a little gun-shy since the opening bell, but I felt it was due more or less to inactivity, Larry. But He's been inactive, showing Pineda a lot of respect in the fight, even though he wasn't really getting hit with any solid punches.
And it is a bit of a change of character, isn't it, Larry? Roger Mayweather made his early reputation going into the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles and out-aggressing aggressive Mexican fighters.
Yeah, he was called the Mexican killer in Los Angeles. He won something like 8 or 9 straight fights against tough Mexican fighters.
I know, but it's going to be bad.
Maybe Billy Baxter should have told him the Pineda came from Mexico.
All right, that's great. All right.
All right, so there was loose tape on Roger Mayweather's glove, and Mills Lane stopped the bout temporarily so that the tape could be strengthened around the right glove of Roger Mayweather. And after the little breather, Pineda begins to try to step it up again in round number 9.
You know what I'm reminded here about? It's that commercial with Hammer in which he starts to sing like Johnny Mathis.
Yeah.
That's
Mayweather is giving you a Johnny Mathis
He's giving
type
us a Johnny Mathis performance here.
And the crowd is getting misty.
Right now, I'd like to see Pineda go more to the body. There's that left hook underneath.
Well, chances are he'd do better if he could get to the body.
Oh, those wide right hands to the body, left hooks to the body. The head will take care of itself. But he's just, it looks like the same. He's making the same movements that he was making in the first round. That's why it's so easy for Mayweather to time his movements.
Hey, Don, look, I want you to make some extra effort here. Come on, let's go, come on.
Hey, that's exactly what I was talking about, Larry. I said the referee can tell these guys, come on. But I guess in this modern day and age, you can't say, oh, you're not going to get paid.
Well, he's not the guy who pays him, but he was talking at that time to Mayweather.
Left-hand hook, and Mayweather is down, and Roger Mayweather has been clocked. He has been clocked. Now, Pineda just got to a new
fight is over.
All right. I couldn't be more pleased. The guy who came to fight won the fight.
Justice is served. Well, and Rafael Pineda's going nuts, Gil.
Mayweather was right when he said he felt the strength of this kid. That was the first time he felt it on the chin.
And Mayweather is still stretched out and being examined by a doctor.
How many one-punch knockouts do you see in the 140-pound weight class, gentlemen?
Well, that one punch is going to change that 140-pound weight class quickly.
Somewhere that punch has been noted by Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker and a lot of big money opponents down the line who may or may not have seen reason to fear 25-year-old Rafael Pineda, who has his first world championship.
Well, I guess my spies in Miami were correct.
Fine, okay? You're all right. Okay? You're all right. He's okay now. He's okay. He's all right. He's okay. He's all right. Raj, you're all right. Tell me what you are. You're all right, son. Huh? You're okay, son. What? Can't see. All right. Okay. But you don't know where you are. You know what town you're in? What town are you in here? I'm not hurt. I know you're not hurt. But tell me what town you're in. Just hang in here. What town are you in here, Roger? Huh? No, not quite. Reno. Okay, well listen. Let's go and get us gloves out. When you're ready to sit up, you get ready to sit up, okay? Wait till the doctor's done. No. Wait till the doctor's done. It's okay, he's all right. But wait. Good job. Let's go ahead and put off his gloves. Thanks, go home. You got hit with the left. You got hit with the left hook, Raj, right on the button. Left hook,
and here comes that left hook on the button as Gil Clancy takes you through it.
And there it is, right on the button. That was the first powerful punch that this kid landed in the fight. And Jim, we had mentioned earlier, sometime in the fight, this kid's going to land a big punch. But I thought it was going to bring out a war between these two guys. But all it took was the one punch, and that was it. And I guess Roger Mayweather, when he went back to his corner and said, this kid's strong, he could feel the power of the kid's punches when he was even getting hit on the arms.
He must have devastating punching power. It does not look all that frightening from that angle, but you can see it was solid on the chin, and Mayweather was unconscious as he went down. And here is Rafael Pineda's celebration as he will take back to Barranquilla, Colombia, after 5 months of training here in the United States, a world championship. He's got a baby due in 3 months, and he just got an early baby present for him. And right now, let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision. Michael?
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time of the knockout, 2 minutes of the 9th round. The winner, el nuevo campeón del mundo, con Barranquilla, Colombia, Rafael Pineda.
You look at final punch stat numbers in the bout. Pineda landing 1/3 of only 262 punches thrown. Mayweather, who got less and less busy as affairs progressed, 105 landed punches in 248 thrown, most of them jabs, a few right hands. Roger was perhaps headed toward an unpopular decision before Rafael Pineda changed everything with the one sweeping left hook. And here is Larry Merchant along with interpreter Carlos Palomino.
Rafael, congratulations. Were you afraid that you would never be able to catch him because he was running so much?
¿Tuviste miedo antes de la pelea que no podías, no ibas a poder alcanzarlo porque estaba corriendo tanto?
Yo le pedí a Dios en todos los rounds. A Dios le debo este triunfo y a él es el que se lo merece porque confié mucho en él, la preparación que mi entrenador me dio y la confianza que teníamos desde antes de la pelea, eso nos dio el triunfo. Pero gracias primero que todo.
He said he asked God every round to let him catch up with him. He said the preparation for the fight and his confidence that he had from the beginning was what got him this win.
All right, we're going to look at a replay. Would he describe, what did he see that made him know he was going to be able to get to him? Describe this.
¿Qué viste aquí cuando decidiste tirar este golpe y que pensaste que le ibas a dar?
Lo tiré con alma, vida y corazón.
He threw it with his heart and his soul.
He was circling around to his right all the time. Was he looking to catch him with the left hook as he circled to the right?
Él andaba moviéndose para el lado derecho siempre. Tú buscaste la mano izquierda por esa razón.
Sí, porque la mano izquierda la habíamos trabajado perfectamente para la pelea, para golpear abajo y arriba, y el gancho con media cintura, pero no podía colocarlo antes porque no me daba la distancia, siempre estaba retrocediendo.
He said they worked on the left hook, body and head, because he just couldn't catch him because he was moving so much, but he figured he was going to get him in the later rounds.
You are now the only world champion from Colombia. How does that feel for you?
Tú eres ahora el único campeón de Colombia. ¿Cómo te sientes por eso?
Colombia tiene muchos campeones y el próximo se llama Luis Chicanero Mendoza, si Dios quiere, y hay muchos prospectos más que de todo corazón le deseo que le sea lo mejor para él.
Pero tú ahorita eres el único. ¿Cómo te debes sentir?
No creo, Colombia ha tenido muchos campeones grandes y yo no soy tan mejores como ellos han sido más grandes que yo.
He says Colombia's had a lot of world champions, they have a lot of great prospects. He feels great to be champion, but he knows there's going to be many more.
Who do you want to fight next?
¿Con quién quieres pelear próximo?
Eso se lo deja a mi apoderado.
He leaves that to his managers.
Thank you very much. So, Jim, Rafael went from a Hope Diamond to a rhinestone and back to a Hope Diamond. And now back to you.
All right, Larry, thanks very much. And here's something interesting, Gil. The 3 judges' scores up to that point in the bout. One judge had Pineda ahead by 4 points. Another judge had the fight even. Another judge with Mayweather ahead by 2 points. But one judge, despite everything we'd said, had Pineda ahead by 4 points, and that's a little surprising.
Well, that's why boxing is the subjective sport that it is, Jim. I had Mayweather ahead in the fight, but I had Pineda coming on. I thought he had won the last 2 rounds, and you can see that he was gradually closing the distance. But I didn't expect that one big punch to do it.
The other 2 champions in the weight class at 140 pounds. One is Edwin Rosario, whom some people believe is over the hill, but he has great punching power with the right hand. The other is Julio Cesar Chavez, who many believe is the best fighter pound for pound in the world. What chance would you give Pineda against either of those 2?
Well, I would make Pineda the favorite over Rosario, and against Chavez, that would be another tough proposition for Pineda. He would have to land those big bombs, but you have to remember that Chavez is a lot more aggressive than Roger Mayweather was in this fight, so it would probably be a lot better fight.
It would be a whole different fight. It might indeed be fascinating to watch. Maybe somebody will try to make that one. Meanwhile, so we have seen the 140-pound World Championship fight. We got a new titleist, a new possibility with Rafael Pineda. Let's move on now to the big, and we do mean big, event of the evening.
People who stand still or watch from the sidelines of life only partly live. I choose to participate. The only way to discover the limits of the possible is to go beyond them to the impossible. Then you'll never grow old.
The gospel according to George Foreman, who 2 decades ago, as a young and physically sculpted heavyweight, terrorized his division.
I think he hurt Joe Frazier. I think Joe is hurt. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier!
In my early years, I fought and lived like a wind-up dog. Still, many believed that I might never be beaten. But then came that night in Zaire against Ali, one that I'll never forget.
Ali now taking advantage as Foreman's head was bent, and quickly a combination. All right, finally sending up Foreman down.
Over the years, I've learned much more from my mistakes than I have from my successes. No longer am I an angry man. The satisfaction I now get is achieving what others consider to be impossible dreams.
When Evander stops punching, George gets a chance, and he's making the most of it right now.
My destiny is to once again become heavyweight champion of the world. Tonight is just another chapter in my life, one which will show everyone that the only limitations that exist are the ones we create.
Tonight in Reno, Nevada, George Foreman's dream continues.
So we are now minutes away, live from World Championship Boxing's presentation on HBO Sports of the scheduled 10-round heavyweight fight between former world heavyweight champion and present-day contender George Foreman and Jimmy Ellis, appearing in his 18th professional fight against by far the toughest opponent he has faced up to this point. And ladies and gentlemen, he's our friend. Gil used to train him, so he and I can tell you, despite the grandiose reputation, the huge public love affair, the big waistline, George Foreman is really a less is more kind of a guy, Gil. He really appreciates the simplicity and the brevity of a one-round knockout. Are we about to see a one-round knockout here?
Well, you know, Jim, the late John Houseman in a television commercial said, "We make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it." Now, Jimmy Ellis has a great record, but against very suspect opposition. He has never fought 10 rounds in his life. And this is it. Maybe he's a good athlete. He may have heart. He may have desire. But he does not belong in the ring on his record and his experience with the George Foreman. This could be a very short fight.
Unless Ellis surprises us dramatically, or unless Foreman at age 42 has gone completely off the diving board all at once. George earned so much public respect and love with his performance against Holyfield. Does he sacrifice any of that by taking a fight like this?
Well, if I was George, I would try to get the fight over with early. Have you ever danced with a girl that can't dance?
Some of them have tried to dance with me, as a matter of fact.
Well, you know, they can make you look pretty bad. That's why, again, if I was George, I'd try to get this inexperienced guy out of there real early.
All right, well, we're going to see what happens. Gil Clancy told you earlier that George Foreman in his second career is a much more relaxed personality, a happier man. Let's go to Marshall, Texas with George to find out why.
Marshall, Texas is my hometown. My mother left here when I was 6 months, and I'd come back from time to time to visit, not knowing that one day this would be the place I'd settle. I'd always feel drawn to the country, to be with the cattle, be with part of the earth. Some people feel like they need to get away, find that peace of mind. Some go to the ocean, some to the mountain, but I go to the ranch. You can come out here and I feel like Paul Bunyan with 200 acres, paradise. To get out there with a fishing pole makes you feel so good within yourself. There's nothing like the country. As far as I'm concerned, when I get here, I find the true peace that I'm looking for. I don't like being away from people, but I do like a little space. And when I come out here in the night, there's no closer I feel to heaven itself than the few quiet moments I have here. The thing that changed my life most was that in 1965, I joined the Job Corps. They took me from Houston, Texas, way into Grants Pass, Oregon. I'd never seen a running stream.
I'm going to take you to the barn. Huh?
The beautiful water, timbers, all of the land, the earth, I never thought existed. I thought it was all a concrete kingdom. Changed my whole world.
I'm going to take you to the barn. Would you like to go to the barn with me? Huh? Here, that's what you get for being a good girl.
This ranch keeps me occupied. Then when it's time for a boxing match, I call it this my most relaxing hours because I can work, get in shape, and at the same time have the time of my life. What gives me the edge over the average boxer, I'll come out here in the woods and I'll chop wood. Then I'll get in the ring with another guy who's been in the gym training. I'll have calluses all over my hand. Then you know that I'm the tougher, rugged man. Now, you know, I think all of the modern weight equipment and things of that nature, that's all fine and good, but at the same time, when it boils down to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, the rugged man, the outdoorsman, the fellow with the hatchet and the axe in his hand, he's going to be the one. That's what it was all about. Who's the toughest guy in the world? Not who's the prettiest, but the toughest. Having a second time around makes this most important for me because I'm enjoying life mainly because I note some of the things I missed previously. To get out there and pick up some grass or touch an animal, see a baby born, a calf born. These are things like this that can make and keep you happy at all times. My life right now is hardly built on my boxing career. If tomorrow someone would say, hey, George, there's no more boxing, it would hardly at all touch what I'm about because I got a good wife, whole bunch of children. People ask me, what kind of ranch is this? I think it's a children's farm. We grow a lot of grass and a lot of children here. You know, I like the idea of being remembered as a boxer, but I think 10, 15, 20 years from today when people look back, I want them to remember that George Foreman was not afraid to pursue life when everybody else thought their life was over. That at a middle age, I was still considering myself an athlete and ready to conquer the world. George Foreman came, he saw, he conquered.
And we bring you back live to the crowded convention center in Reno, Nevada. Coming up in just a few minutes now, George Foreman will enter the ring to take on Jimmy Ellis in the 73rd bout of his now legendary professional boxing career. Ellis, who played a little bit of strike replacement football with the Raiders a couple of years ago, tries to get ready to take the biggest step up he could ever conceivably have taken at this stage of his fledgling professional career. And for more on the bout, we go upstairs. Once again, our boxing analyst, Larry Merchant.
2 weeks ago, just before Evander Holyfield and Bert Cooper gave us that unexpected thrill, we got our first glimpse of Lennox Lewis, a very promising British-Canadian heavyweight. And they remarked at the time about his immediate future, he was looking for bums to fight, but his managers didn't want to fight anybody that good. Well, that was a slight exaggeration. It is, however, no exaggeration to ask of George Foreman's opponent tonight, Jimmy Ellis, is he a bum or is he that good? The truth of the matter is that George Foreman is so popular, so beloved, such a national natural resource that most of his fans don't care who he fights. And that gives him enormous clout in negotiations to handpick his opponent. Can he lose to his hand-picked opponent tonight? Well, Clint Eastwood doesn't lose to his opponents in his movies. Jimmy Ellis isn't a good villain, but he is an interesting opponent.
I would not pay to go see a football game, but I would pay big money to go see a boxing match.
What is this pigskin warrior's fascination with pugilism? Remember Ed Too Tall Jones, defensive end for the Cowboys, who thought the heavyweight crown would be an easy target? And wouldn't we all like to forget former Jet Mark Gastineau's continuing forays into the ring? Well, the latest convert from the NFL is 27-year-old Jimmy Ellis, a former Los Angeles Raider linebacker from Redondo Beach, California. He is undefeated and poised for the most public moment of his athletic career. Like so many Southern California children, Jimmy took to the outdoors and excelled at a number of sports. In high school, he wrestled before settling on football, and his performance on the gridiron attracted scouts from as far away as Idaho, who eventually gave him a full scholarship to Boise State. A three-time College Division All-America, Ellis was drafted by the Raiders in 1987 and achieved his only moment of fame on a Monday night game in the strike-shortened season. Eventually, he was cut, but it was easy to choose a new occupation.
You know, looking back at it now, really all I did when I was on the football field was fight. So really, it was an easy transition for me to go from football to boxing because I was boxing and football. Yeah.
Ellis's transition to the ring was facilitated by older brother John's career as a boxer. Now guiding Jimmy as co-manager, John has supervised the genesis of a professional fighter with no amateur bouts.
He came into the gym and trained for 1 month, and he had his first pro fight. It's been 2.5 years since from that date, so I mean it's incredible for a guy, for anyone to come into any profession and do that.
Apparently a quick learner, Ellis maintains focus through a diligent work ethic, a relic of his football past, and the help of Team Ellis. Team Ellis is John, business manager Jerry Carrere, and friend and fellow Raider Howie Long. As co-manager, Long lends a winning tradition to his young fighter.
Jimmy Ellis could set himself up for life off of this one fight. If he wins this fight, he's got $3-4 million. If he doesn't have a $3-4 million fight after the George Foreman fight, if he wins, he ought to fire his manager. That's me.
So how good is Jimmy Ellis? Fighting in relative obscurity over the past 2.5 years, he has disposed of all but 2 of his opponents by knockout. And the competition hasn't been the best, but even the greatest had their way on the path to the title. And as the boxing public has recently witnessed again, you can't totally rule out any challenger in this perplexing sport. Jimmy Ellis grew up watching George Foreman and has respect for his older heroes, but he thinks he's more than ready for that one chance in a lifetime.
George is just another level higher, and I'm even more motivated for this guy because it's just such a great opportunity that I have, and it's easy. Motivation is easy. It's just hard work and determination and just nothing but boxing.
Should be interesting. It's one of those Japanese horror flicks, you know, Mighty Joe Young and Godzilla, you know, in the ocean outside of Tokyo. 2 big guys going at it.
Well, here he comes. Mighty Joe Young or Godzilla, take your pick, emerging from his own cave in this ocean of Reno. Jimmy Ellis, 2 years, 17 fights, a total of 36 rounds in the ring, and he's going to fight George Foreman.
There are so many things going against this guy going into the ring. Remember Tommy Morrison? He was in excellent condition, but the tension got him. At the end of 2 rounds, he was dead tired. This kid, I imagine, if he goes a few rounds, he's going to get exhausted also. And meanwhile, big George, big relaxed George, he could probably go 20 rounds.
You know, we have seen a few professional football players try to become boxers over the years, but none of them really had the total commitment to stick with it for long enough to get good at it.
Well, Too Tall Jones probably spent more time in the gym than any of them, but then he was completely exposed by a little guy about 5'10", about 190 pounds, by the name of Rocky Meneses. I think the kid was about 16, 17 years old, had him on the deck, and that was the last fight for Too Tall.
And there is the record for Jimmy Ellis, 16 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 15 knockouts. But now, here comes the caveat. In a number of understatements in that profile on Ellis, which we narrated for you, the most extreme was the one that said the opposition has not been the best. How much not the best? Well, take a look at the aggregate record of those 17 opponents for Jimmy Ellis. Between them, they've won 89 fights, they've lost 123, and they've been KO'd a total of 58 times. So you could say that he hasn't really been tested by the best.
That's the understatement of the year.
But let's also remember that those are the kind of fighters George Foreman fought before they finally fought Jerry Cooney and then Evander Holyfield.
Well, I think Foreman's opposition was much better. He was fighting smaller guys, but some of them at least were 10-round fighters. This kid has never fought 10 rounds, even himself.
Come on, Gil. Most of them were bouncers.
Well, they bounced. Yeah, George made him bounce, all right. He bounced 23 of 24 before fighting Evander Holyfield.
And here he is, one of the more remarkable athletic figures of our time, George Foreman.
And that knockout percentage, gentlemen, 90%, is the best of all time for a heavyweight. George Foreman in career number 1, 45 wins, and the losses to Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Young. In career number 2, 24 wins, 23 by knockout, and the 12-round unanimous decision loss on April 19 to Evander Holyfield. Again, 65 knockouts in 72 bouts, the best knockout percentage of all time for a heavyweight fighter. And at age 42, where does Foreman rank among active fighters? Well, believe it or not, Saul Mambi is still laboring away and 2 years older than George. Larry Holmes is George's age mate at 42. The oldest man ever to go into the ring for a professional prize fight was Bob Fitzsimmons, who fought at age 51. Now, George Foreman fought at 257 pounds against Evander Holyfield in April, and he had suggested that he would like to be a little bit lighter than that in future bouts. It's a big concern for George. We'll take a look back at both weigh-ins in Atlantic City.
George Foreman, 257 pounds.
Tonight, I'm looking to come out a little lighter and a bit quicker so I can build up points against the smaller guys. And if I don't get the knockout, I'm certainly going to be ahead on points.
257. 257.
George weighed exactly the same for this fight as for Holyfield, but he looked softer.
Yes, he did look softer, but he surprised me. He looked better than I thought he was going to look.
Tail of the tape, and of course the age difference is there right off the top. The weight difference is 29 pounds. Other than that, they are at least mildly similar. Rules for the bout, Harold Letterman.
Jimmy Ellis and George Foreman are going to fight using the rules of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. 3 judges scoring the fight. 10-point must system. No standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect, and you can be saved by the bell in the last round only. Jim?
Let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the ring at this time, to present the colors of the Nevada Air National Guard and to sing our national anthem, we have the LA Party Dolls. Now, as you all know, today marks the 50th anniversary of a day that shall indeed live in infamy. December 7th, 1941, the tragedy of Pearl Harbor and the beginning of the U.S. involvement in World War II. As we listen to the national anthem, let us never forget the horror of war, ladies and gentlemen. Let us always remember its victims, and at this, the beginning of the holiday season, let us all wish for peace on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with Ron Weathers Incorporated, Al Goosen Promotions, and the undisputed, undefeated King of Beer, Budweiser, present the featured bout of the evening. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Luther Mack, Commissioners Nat Carasali, Dr. James Nave, Bruce Lane, and Dr. Elias Ghanem. Executive Director Chuck Minker. Physicians in attendance, Dr. James McLennan, Dr. John Wickman, Dr. Craig Goodmanson, and Dr. Joseph Heflin. The timekeeper, Jim Carpenter. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Steve Menzel. The scoring for this bout will be done on a 10-point must system. The officials assigned at ringside are Patricia Jarman, Doug Tucker, and Dalby Shirley. And once the bell rings, the men in charge of the action are referee Richard Steele. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. Let's get ready to rumble! 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with blue trim, weighing an even 228 pounds. His professional record of 16-0-1 comes with devastating knockout power as he stopped 15 opponents in those 16 victories. He comes to us tonight from Boise, Idaho, undefeated and hungry for another victory. Ladies and gentlemen, right on, Jimmy Ellis. And in the red corner, wearing white trunks and weighing in at 257 pounds, fighting out of Houston, Texas. He brings a professional record of 69 victories, only 3 defeats, and his knockout total of 65 is more than any other contender in the world today. In the first part of his career, after winning the 1968 Olympic gold medal, he became the undisputed heavyweight world champion. A few years later, he walked away from the ring. Then, after a decade, he returned to begin part 2 of his career. For 3 years, he went undefeated, going through 24 opponents on his way to a heavyweight championship bout this past April. He didn't come away with a title, but he did win a huge victory in capturing the hearts of boxing fans around the world. Tonight, we turn the page to part 3, chapter 1 in the ongoing career of this boxing legend. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the former heavyweight champion of the world, Big George Foreman.
Okay, I spoke to both of the fighters in the dressing room. I'm cautioning you again, obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
A couple of things, Jim and Gil. First, let's remember that George is almost 43 years old. You never know what's going to happen in a prize fight. You never know when that last step up into the ring will be your last step up into the ring. And secondly, because of his age, I think it has to be stated here, I don't want to ever see George Foreman hurt.
Jimmy Ellis came to the arena a good 4.5 hours before the time when he would have to be in the ring. If he has stayed warmed up and ready in his dressing room, more power to him.
And you know, Larry, many a fighter in my career in this business, I've seen real good fighters, all of a sudden they walk up those 4 steps into the ring and they don't have it anymore. But again, this is a different George Foreman. He's just so sure of himself, so relaxed in there. And you know, when guys usually get hit and hurt with punches is when they're tight. And I just don't think George is, he just doesn't tighten up at all anymore.
George is standing still and pounding jabs against Ellis's forehead. Ellis is trying to get to George's midsection, and he's landed a couple times, but most of them are coming off of George's elbow. A little punch to the top of George's head as they break from the clinch. Right hand to the body, a left hand to the head. Foreman starting to show a little aggressiveness. More than a minute has gone by. Ellis is kind of grinning in there, as though he's having fun.
It's no fun eating those jabs, though, Jim.
Well, how good is George Foreman's jab, Gil?
The best in the business. That's always been his best punches, his left jab.
There's blood on the bridge of Ellis's nose already. He lands a left to Foreman's head. Misses another one. Foreman comes back with a counter left. It always surprises you at this stage to see that George is quick enough to counter in there. Ellis steps away to try to catch a breather. Foreman with another straight left in the mouth.
Hands up! One leg, George. One leg. One leg.
No holding. Punch.
Hands up, George. Hands up.
There's the jab. Three of them. Four of them. Now he throws a right hand and sort of taps away with it. Tapping on the forehead with the right hand.
Turn southpaw, George.
Oh, look at this.
He's liable to show you anything in there.
Who's going to put the stool up? You are?
Blood on the bridge of Ellis's nose. His forehead has begun to turn pink.
Little left hook by George.
It looks as though Jimmy's going to survive round one, though. Oh, solid right. Ellis was stunned for a second. He's eating jabs. George is going to let him out of the round. He didn't go for the kill.
Ellis said his main purpose would be not to let Foreman hit him multiple punches, which is how Holyfield survived, and he achieved that in that round.
If nothing else bad is going to happen to Jimmy Ellis, he's going to get very, very tired real early in this fight.
Don't you get close with this guy. You don't belong getting close. Outside, do your number, okay? Strong jab.
Here's Foreman. He did land a few heavy jabs on the head of Ellis, and there you saw the right cross right after the left hook.
Look, check. Jimmy, listen. Listen, I'm talking. Look, I'm fine now. Fuck this stuff.
Go ring, let's go.
You boxing good. You fighting for us.
Come on, looking beautiful. Don't gamble for nothing.
Well, Foreman again stood between rounds, as has been his custom in career number 2. Everybody talked in Ellis's corner. They were very excited. And you heard Angelo Dundee telling George Foreman, stay away from him. You don't belong close to him. Remember to box. That's Dundee in the background yelling, pop him, George. He wants to see the jab, Gil.
That's, well, you have to go lead with your best, and that's what George has. He'll discourage this kid with the jab alone. It gets to be a taming sequence, and all of a sudden Ellis right now is not throwing any punches at all.
But you said between rounds that he's likely to get very tired. Why is that?
Because of the tension. He's not used to this kind of competition. He's not used to fighting in front of a big crowd. A couple of good body shots by George.
Yeah, George dug a right and a left to the body. Ellis is trying to come back with sweeping punches. You can see that he throws wide when he throws.
His left hook is a little quick, Jim, but George has been able to block just about every left hook he's thrown.
George digs another left hand to the body, and now snaps Ellis's head back with a jab, and there's a left, and Ellis is wobbling. Heaviest-handed puncher in the business is George Foreman, and he knows how to finish better than anybody. He's got a chance to finish Jimmy Ellis right here if he wants to go to work.
And Ellis is showing a lot of courage. Wobbled, just threw it. There's that left hook that we mentioned. A little slow. George got a little careless. And Richard Steele is taking a good look at Jimmy Ellis right now.
His legs are wobbly. George has clubbed him over the top a couple of times. Richard Steele, of course, has earned a reputation for stopping fights quickly. George wants him to stop it now.
George doesn't want to hurt this guy. I can see that.
George doesn't want to finish him off. George is carrying Jimmy Ellis late in the second round.
Jimmy, let it go. Let it go.
Well, Richard Steele is certainly taking a close look at Jimmy Ellis, and he's allowing him to take some very heavy punishment.
Well, maybe Steele is conscious of his own reputation, and now he's decided, no, he hasn't. He stopped him for a second and then came back away to allow Foreman to punch some more. And Jimmy Ellis has no idea where he is.
What happened there was Richard Steele did motion an end to the fight and quickly changed it. We have to remember he's been under fire before for the quick stoppage of Taylor Chavez and of Tyson Ruddock. And he could stop this fight before it continues into the third round, unless Ellis can pull himself out of it.
And Richard Steele walked away from the corner laughing to himself. I don't know what they said to him, but he turned around and walked away laughing.
I feel for Richard Steele. He has been under more pressure than a referee should be. He's a good referee, and this is a difficult situation
It's a tough assignment for Richard Steele. Yeah, they didn't do him any favors.
Because of this pressure, Larry, has that made him indecisive?
Well, he sort of was decisive and then indecisive. But I think he did the right thing in the end. Ellis was able to go on.
Well, Ellis still looks woozy as round 3 begins. And George made very clear in the last round that he doesn't want to hurt the guy. So he's going to stick the jab. Ellis is being aggressive. Steele taking another close look as Jimmy Ellis wobbles against the ropes. Oh, those are hard punches.
He's game, Ellis. He's game. He's trying to fire, but he just doesn't belong in there with the George Foreman.
George moves back to try to let Ellis fall, and Jimmy won't go down.
He should go down here and get himself a breather.
And what about George Foreman needing a breather? He may punch himself out a little bit.
Ellis just missed with that quick left hook. He has landed a couple of stunning blows on Foreman.
Doesn't have a leg under him, though, Ellis. He's just fighting on courage alone.
Don't hold it, don't push.
George just keeping him where he wants him. Moving him out right back into punching range. Now he's southpaw, George. Sticking the right jab.
And just packing him. George seems frustrated that Steele wouldn't have stopped it up till then, and finally Richard Steele has seen it up. And now the crowd begins to boo. Tough moment for Richard Steele.
Standing up like you are.
2.5 rounds of George Foreman carrying Jimmy Ellis a little bit, waiting for Steele to stop it, and finally the referee does his duty.
Well, again, Jimmy Ellis has got plenty of heart, plenty of desire. He was an athlete, but he just does not have anywhere near the ability to be in this kind of a fight.
I think Richard Steele did the right thing in the end. He gave Ellis his courage, allowed him to finish the second round, and when he saw that it was a mismatch, he stopped it before anybody could get hurt. It was a very, very difficult moment for Richard Steele because of the fact that it's a mismatch. And one guy is if not an amateur, not a full professional on this level.
George Foreman landed 40 of 49 punches thrown in round number 3. A lot of them were just taps.
Look at how George is able to take his time and really measure this guy and hit him with just about anything he wants to hit him with.
Well, he's not a worthy opponent for George Foreman, and we made that clear from the beginning of the bout.
Again, why would they take if they thought this fighter was a prospect, why would they take this fight?
Well, for the $300,000+, one
That's
assumes.
the answer, but that they shot everything in one fight.
And there is Richard Steele finally stepping in to say that he had seen enough late in round number 3. And one more look at the continued withering punishment meted out by Foreman before Richard Steele made the stoppage. And as Larry Merchant pointed out, this was a mismatch. Steele's big moments, for which his career is in question, were in tough prize fights between Mike Tyson and Razor Ruddock, and before that, between Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez. This was different. Let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer now for the critical decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 1 minute 36 seconds of the third round, the winner by TKO victory. The march goes on, ladies and gentlemen, for the winner by TKO, Big George Foreman.
Final punch stat numbers. Foreman threw 173 and landed 122. He was merciful with most of them. Ellis threw 91 punches and did pretty well. Landed 26 of them, and some of them were hard blows against Foreman's head. Gil Clancy, you said that Foreman's best punch is his jab. Look at that.
That's what he has. He's always had a good, solid jab. It's like a 2x4 coming out a window and hitting you in the nose.
Jimmy Ellis is still working to learn how to properly throw the jab. And now let's go up to Larry Merchant with the once and perhaps future king, George Foreman.
All right, George, were you feeling sorry for him there in the second round? Did you let up?
Well, you know, I told you earlier in the dressing room, when a guy comes to George Foreman, it makes me a boxer. I hit him with a lot of hard shot and kind of hurt. He must have been a hell of a football player. A heavenly of a football player, that's for certain.
So you're saying that you really did carry him a little bit, maybe out of respect for the fact that he was trying so hard.
And I thought he was going to fall, and I let him loose for a moment. I said, he's not going to last long. The next thing I know, he started hitting me back. The guy's got a chin like a piece of stone.
He clipped you a few times. Any of them sting?
Yeah, he hit me with a good right hand that really hurt, and the left hook in the side that's still hurting right now. So the guy was a good puncher. I don't know who told me he wasn't anything. You see how you can believe everything? Now I'm hurting on my left, right side, and I got hit with a right hand. I'm in bad shape, but I'm going to make it.
What are the plans? We're going to take a look at the end there. Would you describe it for us?
Well, I'm right now just trying to find him with a hook and get it over with, because he's taking the hardest shots I've hit. And I think he's going to fall now. Don't hit him. Don't hit him. He's going to fall. But watch this. He comes back and starts hitting me. You just can't.
No respect for his elders.
No respect for his elders. Next time I fight, I need to have my gray hair. That'll show him. That'll teach him something. But I was a little too experienced as far as not knowing not to get in there and wade in there and try to mix it up with him, just stand back with the left jab. If I hadn't had that experience, he could have gotten a little lucky on you. Yeah, but so much experience. I've had the guys that stand off me for years and use that jab. Now I'm giving it back to them.
What are your plans for the next 6 months or so as far as boxing is concerned?
The ultimate goal is to get down to the back 235. I'm 257 this time. I'll be 235 the next time. Then there's a great Olympian, Riddick Bowe, that my promoters have been talking about, and I think we're going to draw and have the whole world coming out to see 2 Olympians fight again. And then if Holyfield is ready, I'll fight him.
Thank you very much, George. Back to you, Jim and Gil.
All right, thank you very much, Larry, and thanks to George. Now, Gil, you told us about Richard Steele laughing as he walked away from Ellis's corner after round number 2. What was it about?
Yeah, well, I asked Richard about it. He said that they told him, don't stop the fight. He can take a good punch. And Richard said, not that good. He can take a good punch. What about the guys in the corner? You don't win fights taking punishment.
Oh, and it might have been a little bit unfair if they had tried to send him out there again at the end of the 3rd round like the one that he was suffering through at that point. Of course, Richard Steele himself is part of the story, as we mentioned. After the stoppages in Taylor Chavez and in Ruddock, Tyson won. His career was a little bit in question. How do you feel he acquitted himself tonight?
Well, I thought he did very, very well. He recognized that this kid had a lot of courage and a lot of heart, took the punishment, was never on the deck, and he allowed him to continue. At the one moment that looked like he was going to stop the fight, he decided to let the kid go on. The bell rang, got back to the corner, but there wasn't much to it after that.
Foreman let 7 months go by after his triumph of sorts against Holyfield. Then he comes back with a match like this. In the meantime, you had the continued development of fighters like Riddick Bowe and Ray Mercer and, of course, Lennox Lewis and Michael Moore, all of whom are becoming heavyweight contenders. Has George done himself a disservice in these 7 months by going backward a little bit?
Well, again, George's secret of success the last time, career number 2, was keeping busy. What he has to do is fight about every 6 weeks. If he lays off 4 or 5 months at a time, he's going to come back. He was a little bit off tonight, a little bit slow. He wasn't punching as fast as he usually does. He has to keep active, and for an old guy, that's kind of tough.
Assuming Holyfield keeps the title, you think George will get another title shot?
Well, again, everything depends on what happens in Indianapolis with Mike Tyson in January.
What do you think, Larry Merchant, assuming that Evander Holyfield is able to keep the title, given the presence of the young contenders whom I mentioned, is George likely to get another title shot?
Well, I think it's going to come down to economics and, of course, Tyson's situation. I'm not sure, as some other people, that Holyfield will give George another fight. He's a very tough competitor, and he may decide to go ahead and fight some of the younger guys, particularly because he's not too much in love with George for beating him out of $1.5 million in a kind of a nuisance suit.
Yeah, let's explain that one. Foreman was used, in the view of many, as a bargaining chip by both sides in the Tyson-Holyfield negotiations before that fight was signed. And then afterward, George filed a $100 million lawsuit against Evander Holyfield and his management because he said he had a commitment from the Dubas to fight Evander prior to Evander signing the contract for Tyson. And the upshot of that, as you point out, is that George got some money.
Yeah, there are just too many things that can happen between now and whenever to speculate seriously. The important thing tonight is, as far as George Foreman was concerned, he was fed a cream puff, took his time in devouring him, but in the end, he got him. Some high marks to Jimmy Ellis for giving his best. I wish he had had 10 or 15 more fights, 2 more years of gym time, so that he might even be able to give a better account of himself.
He was game.
And finally, let's take this last opportunity to salute Rafael Pineda. We have somebody who can be a force in boxing and who I hope we see again and soon on HBO.
Hey, I got one more question for you. Foreman has another fight here on HBO under his present contract with us. Could he get away with fighting another cream puff like this one?
I suppose he could. It's going to be up to a number of people to decide who he wants to fight. Obviously, he's one of the best managed fighters of all time, since he more or less manages himself and looks at tapes of potential opponents, doesn't want to fight anybody who can move too far away from his fists, doesn't want to fight anybody who can punch too hard, and save himself for the one big effort at a big fight that may be down the road. So can he get away with it? I think you'd have to ask the people here whether they'd come to see him again, and perhaps they are so much in love with him that they would.
Our executive producer, Ross Greenberg, just whispered in my ear, no more Jimmy Ellis's, I'll tell you that. So we'll have to wait and see how our dealings with Big George go as we wait for him to come back and join us. Hey, incidentally, because George has been training and fighting, we had a chance to work with you, and I can't tell you what a thrill it's been, Gil. Thanks a lot.
And it's been a lot of fun for me too, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thanks very much. Once again, let's size up the evening. Big crowd came here hoping to see a spectacular performance by George Foreman. They didn't really get a chance to see that, but they saw a spectacular knockout in a not-so-spectacular fight by Rafael Pineda as he put away the veteran Roger Mayweather in the 9th round with one sweeping left hook bang, and that made him the IBF Junior Welterweight Champion of the world. Then George Foreman entered the ring to fight against former football player Jimmy Ellis in Ellis's 18th pro fight, and it was a methodical TKO for Foreman late in the 3rd round as he pounded away at Ellis until referee Richard Steele finally saw fit to draw a halt to the proceedings.